Hi, my name is Deke Stella.
And I'm David Freeman.
And we're the lead designers for Ninja Division Publishing and Soda Pop Miniatures. And we're going to play some Ninja All-Stars. Okay, so we're going to walk through the Ninja All-Stars components. We're using all prototypes for this. So everything that you actually get in your final copy will be a little bit different. First off, we have the game board. Every space on the game board is marked by a dot, and when models move on those spaces, they have to choose their facing, one of 8 directions, either pointing towards a dot, forward, diagonal, back. Then we have the moon deck, and the moon deck is all of the tricks that your ninjas might use to overcome their opponents during a game, and you get to draw a card from the moon deck at the end of every round. Then over here we have our dashboard, and the dashboard is where we will keep track of the phases of the moon. Every round the phase of the moon will change. Different ninjas, and specifically the moon deck, will have different powers based on what phase of the moon it is, usually becoming more powerful if it is the correct phase of the moon. Then we have the rounds that we're going to be tracking. We're just going to do a few rounds since this is just an intro game to give you some of the basics. Then you can see we have our 2 teams. Dave is going to be using the Water Ninja, the Water Shrine Ninja, and on his team he has 1 Chunin, which is the leader, and then 1 Madoshi, which is the mystic. He has 3 Kaiken, who are your good all-round ninjas. They're good on offense and defense. He has 2 Yajiri, and they are your ranged ninja. They've got little bows that are stealthy. And then he has 2 Kunoichi, and the Kunoichi are fast. They don't hit very hard, but they're excellent for challenges where you need to recover tokens, such as capture the medal. They're also really good at helping lend assist to other ninjas. I'm going to be using the Fire Shrine Ninja. I have the exact same makeup of ninja, since in the starting box we have 2 corresponding teams so that you can have a nice balanced game at the start. You'll notice that we have our ninja in one of 2 different boxes here. They are the KO box, or the healing shrine, and that is where if your ninja gets wounded or knocked out during the course of the game, he will then go into the KO box, and then after 1 round he gets moved into the reserved box, and in the reserved box he can then at the beginning of a round come back into the game to join your team
And help you out again. Yeah. And then we have dice. So in Ninja All-Stars, you use these special dice to determine what happens in combat, or when you use some abilities, you have to take what's called a test. So each die has colored dots on it, as you can see here. These will be icons in the finished product. So they'll match up with these kind of icons we're using here to represent all the elements, or the elements of Kagejima. So there's air, earth, fire, water, void, and spirit. So that's starts here, void. This is water, right? Water, fire, spirit, air, and earth. Those match up with the phases of the moon as well. But so yeah, when we get to combat, we'll show how that works more, or when we use certain abilities that might require us to use them, we'll show that as well. So
each clan also has an affinity with one of the elements. So not surprising, the Water Shrine Ninja have an affinity to water, while the Fire Shrine Ninja have an affinity to fire. This comes in play most often through what is called an affinity test. And when you make an affinity test, you roll 3 dice, and as long as one of the dice shows your affinity, then you have succeeded the test. So in this case, if I was making this roll, I rolled 2 fires, and so I would have succeeded in the affinity test. Affinity can also come into play for, like the Madoshi. They use it in order to cast spells and other special abilities. You'll use your affinity to be able to execute your ability
pretty regularly.
We also then have an assortment of tokens. Since this is our prototypes, we're using some awesome Super Dungeon Explorer tokens to represent things such as stunned, stealthed. Dave's Madoshi Mystic can make his guys lucky, while my Madoshi Mystic can throw alchemical firebombs at people, which will stun them. And so we'll be using various tokens to keep track of the action on the board.
Okay, so have we covered all the components and go into setup, or?
Yep, let's move on to setup. Okay, so now we're going to set up for our first game. We're going to do the Brawl scenario, or
challenge.
The Brawl challenge. The Brawl is very straightforward. Each of our guys are going to try to beat the other one up. We're going to score 1 point anytime we successfully knock out an opposing ninja. And in a normal Brawl challenge, you play the first person to get 12 knockouts, or whoever has the most knockouts at the end of 8 rounds is the winner. Since this is just an introductory game, we're going to play a couple rounds so that you can see how everything goes, and then see who is the winner at the end of that. So, the first thing you do, which will be Dave, apparently. So, he said, wait, I guess you did win our last game. I was going to say...
Well, that means I'm losing this one for sure.
Right. Okay, so the first thing you do to decide who is going to be player 1 is at the beginning of every round or setup, you play a round of Jean Ken or rock, paper, scissors. So, ready, Dave?
Ready.
Ha! Okay. I am Jean Ken
Deke
master.
is the master.
Okay.
It's kind of amazing.
I'm in your mind. Okay. So, in the final game board, there will be spaces that are marked as your deployment zone. And there will be spaces marked on all 4 edges, so that when you're playing each player has 1 edge, and so when you're playing a 4-player game, then player 1 would use 1 edge, player 2 would use another, and back and forth. Since this is just our prototype board, we don't have those deployment zones marked yet, so we're just going to use the 2 spaces from our edge. Since I'm player 1, I'm going to get to place the first ninja. Every challenge has a specific number of ninja that are allowed to be on the game board during the challenge. For Brawl, we're allowed to have 6 ninja. So I'm going to get to place my first ninja, and I am going to choose a Kaiken. So you'll recall from our component overview, Kaiken are your kind of baseline ninja. You'll see that the game board has different elements of terrain, such as the tops of buildings, which are elevation, the bushes, which obscure you and allow you to hide. They're also difficult terrain. We have the water sections that are just difficult terrain. In a full game, you can also place different elements of terrain, you and your opponent. You can place lanterns, which prevent people from going into stealth because they illuminate, and you can also place shrines. And at shrines, you can place them, and they cause specific status effects. Unlike a lot of games, there are both good and bad status effects in Ninja All-Stars. So you can actually choose whether your shrine is a beneficial shrine or a hurtful shrine that is designed to mess with your opponents. So we're not going to use those. We're just going to be using the basic terrain on the game board. I'm going to place my first Kaiken, and 2 spaces in, I'm going to hide him behind this bush right here.
All right, so I will also bring out a Kaiken, since I'm going to wait. I want to see where Deke may put more of his more powerful guys before I put out maybe my Chunin or my Madoshi. So I'm going to put him here, facing straight that way.
Okay. Yeah, so as Dave just mentioned, he's facing his guys. Facing is important in Ninja All-Stars. Every model has a mark on their base showing which direction they face. Facing is important because in order to go into stealth, you need line of sight, or you need to be out of line of sight. So you're going to have to use the terrain to your advantage. And you can also attack ninjas from behind, which ninjas love to do, and you get bonuses when you attack your opponent from behind. So you always want to be conscious of which direction your ninja is facing. I'm going to choose another Kaiken, and he is going to go right here. So actually right now both Dave and I's deployment zones are on top of a building, which are elevation. When you have elevation, you can see over other models, and the only thing that's going to block your line of sight is other elevated pieces on the game board.
So I'm going to bring out Kunoichi. They're very fast, and they're good at dodging around other ninja. So Kunoichi are very useful in setting up assists, and assists and attacking from behind or attacking from stealth are all crucial in gaining superiority, a superior position in combat a lot of the time. So that's why I want her out on the board at this point. But
okay. I'm now going to place a Yujiri. Now Yujiri are our bowmen, and so they have ranges of 6 spaces, and so I'm going to place him there, up on the rooftop.
okay, I'll bring another Kaiken out, so I'll put him over here supporting the other Kaiken.
Now I'm going to place another Yujiri, who is going to be over on the far side.
And I'll bring a bowman as well, so that I don't get overwhelmed by Deke's bows, I guess. Or have some supporting, a supporting guy to take shots here and there.
Okay. Now the Madoshi is my next piece. And so what the Fire Shrine Team Madoshi does is as I said before, he has a firebomb that can stun opposing ninja. He also has an ability called Fire Mastery, which allows him to re-roll any dice that does not show the fire affinity. Very handy. So we're going to put him right here in the center, looking at that bridge to that little shrine.
And I'm going to put down my Chunin, who's, your Chunin's a lot of time is your most powerful ninja. He's the leader of the team.
And then sometimes he gets dropped.
Yeah, sometimes you drop him and break him, but so I'm going to put his base down and we'll fix him in between. So I'll put him here.
In those cases, my guys have now earned 1 experience.
Yeah, it seems.
Yeah.
So we'll fix him.
Poor little fella.
As soon as possible here.
First casualty already. Okay, I'm also going to place my Chunin. I actually value my ninja.
Hey.
So I'm going to place him right behind this bush.
Well, if mine was as tough as he thought he was.
Right.
He would still be fine. But. All right, and then for my last guy, I'm going to bring out my Madoshi, or we're not sure how to say everything yet. But.
Really, John, our creative director, is our Japanese speaker, and he's going to be giving us a nice long lesson in how to say all of our unit names. We're looking forward to that.
So I'm gonna put him here. He has an ability called Seize Blessing that when he goes, he can use it to try and give luck tokens to people, or ninjas around him. And luck tokens allow you to reroll dice as well, so that could be very useful. So I wanted to be near guys to begin with, so he has a chance of giving them luck tokens throughout the game.
Okay, so now we have both set up our 6 ninja, so our ninja are ready to go. In a normal game, the phase of the moon is determined by a dice roll for what the phase starts at. So Dave's going to roll a dice here, and we got Spirit, so it it is going to start at the full moon phase. This is round 1. Since I won Jean Ken, I am going to activate the first ninja. But first we're going to take a break while Dave's Chunin goes to the healing house and gets himself a little repair. Okay, so it is the first round. Since I won the Jean Ken for setup, I get to activate the first ninja.
You are still player 1.
I am still player 1, exactly. So, Ninja All-Stars has alternating activation for your ninja. So I'm going to activate one ninja, then Dave will activate one ninja. We'll go back and forth until all of our ninjas have activated. During an activation, your ninja can move, and then they can take an action. They have to do it in that order. So if you take your action without moving, then your movement is lost. Your action is most commonly going to be some sort of an attack, but certain ninjas have special things that they can do, such as the Midoshi, who can use their different mystic powers and spells. And then there's heroes who have way cool things. So to start off, I'm going to activate one of my Kaiken. Okay, and so Fire Kaiken have a movement of 5, and so I can move 5 spaces. And we're just going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, and this is water. So since it's difficult terrain, it's going to take 1 extra space. It counts as 2 spaces. So that was my 4th space and my 5th space to get into the water. And since it's now the end of my move, I now have to choose my facing. And for that, I am going to sort of face the bridge over here. So trying to keep my back away. Now where I'm currently positioned, I'm hiding behind this elevated terrain. So now I can use my action to, if I wanted to move some more, I could use my action to run and take another move. But I'm going to use my action to hide and go into stealth. So I'm going to put a stealth token right there.
So now ninjas can't see, you can't draw line of sight to him, you can't attack him, even if you're right next to him. To be able to affect this ninja, if you get right next to a ninja that's in stealth, you can use your action to seek for them. Or if he attacks or takes actions or does certain things, then they'll drop the stealth. But you do get a bonus for attacking when you're stealth because it's a surprise, right? So,
yes. Ninjas are sneaky.
Yeah. So with this guy's activation being over his turn, then it's my turn to activate a ninja. So I'm going to go with the Water Shrine Midoshi here. And it says, so C's blessing happens when he activates. So I'm going to do that. So it says, make an affinity test. So I'm going to try and roll 3 dice, and I want to get at least 1 water in here to succeed. And if I do, I'll get to put a lucky token on a ninja within the Mystic's influence zone. Now, every ninja has an influence zone. It's all of the spaces around them. So for this guy, if he were here, then all 8 of these spaces would be his influence zone. This zone represents the area that they could easily affect with their weapons, or they can touch people who are close to them. So you can't just move past a guy. You can't just run past without him getting in your way or tripping you or that kind of thing. So
stabbing you.
Yeah. So once you're in an enemy ninja's influence zone, to move out of a space that's in an enemy ninja's influence zone, you have to dodge. It's called, but. So we also use the influence zone a lot of time as a range for abilities, that kind of thing. You can say, only affect guys that are within this guy's influence zone. So I'm going to roll because it's the beginning of the Midoshi's activation. And I got Spirit, Void, and Void. So there's no water icons in here. So since the Midoshi has an ability called Water Mastery, I can re-roll any die that isn't a water icon when I make rolls. So he's going to go ahead and try again and fail again with air, fire. So no lucky for anybody from the Midoshi this activation. Then he does get to move and use his action as well. So he's going to go 1, 2, so, sorry.
You're going to beat up these ninja, aren't you?
That's right. I am a harsh and cruel master. 4, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm gonna move to there, and then I'm gonna run because I want to go 1, 2. So it costs 3 to move up onto an elevated space, like on top of these
The walls.
The walls here. So he's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then he's gonna face diagonally this way. So that's his activation. So now I'm going to put one of these tokens down next to him to show that I've activated him.
Oh, yeah.
Those help me because I kind of forget a lot of the time who's already activated. So.
And your box game will come with some activation tokens. So
Yep.
if you're having trouble keeping track of that, you can just use those. All right. So for my activation, let's see. What are we gonna do here? Alright, I'm going to activate my other Kaiken. And he's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. And then he is going to run 5, 6, 7, 8, and hop in that bush. So he is now in a bush, so he is obscured. Dave, you want to give him the breakdown on obscured?
Well, so obscuring terrain like these bushes blocks line of sight through them. So this guy actually, since he's in the bush, you can see him and he can see out of it. But if he were on the other side of it, say here, then you're not going to be able to draw a line of sight through the bush from like here to him.
Well, heck, that's what I'm going to do then.
There you go.
I'm going to hop right there. So, and now for facing, I'm going to make sure that my back is towards the building here, so that it's these 3 squares are his back when he's facing diagonal, just to make it harder for any of his ninja to potentially sneak up on me.
Yep, which is a good move. So that's his activation?
That is his activation.
Okay, then it's over to me, so I'm going to activate this bowman, or Yajiri here, and he's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and I'm gonna leave him here. I want to get him up on the roof so I'll have a good, a good line of good field of view to put arrows into other guys. And that's his activation, so I'm done with him.
So I'm also going to activate Ijiri, and so he's going to hop down off the building. So now he's started on a building, and while it costs 3 squares to move up a building, it's just 1 space to move down. So he's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He's going to face that way. He's going to take his action to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to shoot Dave's Ijiri.
Yep, he can see me up on top of this building, or up on top of the elevated wall here. So he's going to shoot my Ijiri with his Ijiri.
Okay, so now my Ijiri has an attack stat of 1. So I get 1 dice for this attack. But whenever he is making a ranged attack, he gets +1 attack. So he's going to get to roll 2 dice.
And then my Ijiri has a defense of 2, so I'm just going to roll 2 dice.
Okay, so I'm going to roll. Okay, so now that we both rolled, I rolled 1 air and 1 earth.
And I rolled 1 air and a void.
Okay, so now what we do is we do elemental cancellations. And so every element has an opposing element, and so when they're rolled, they will cancel each other out. Air cancels out earth, water cancels out fire, and spirit cancels out void. When you do a combat roll, you have to make every single cancellation that you can make. You cannot intentionally leave an opposing pairs there. That said, you only make cancellations with your opponent. So like, even though I did an air and an earth in my roll, they do not cancel each other out. But since Dave rolled an air and I rolled an earth, then those 2 cancel out. So those get eliminated from the dice pool. Okay? So now, Dave has a void left, and I have a spirit left, or an air left. And so these do not cancel out. So now either one of these can potentially be the result of the combat. Since I'm the attacker, normally whoever has the most dice remaining in their pool is who gets to choose which dice is the result of the combat. That makes it so that, like, if you have a good defense and you roll really well, and you have more dice remaining, as the defender, you actually get to dictate how that combat goes. In this case, since we're tied, the advantage goes to the attacker. So I'm going to get to choose which dice. Now, air in a ranged attack doesn't actually accomplish anything. Ranged attacks only use earth and void results. Luckily, Dave rolled a void, and a void is actually the best result you can get, which means...
As an attacker.
As an attacker, right. And so... yeah, the void result in this case is going to wound and knock out Dave's Yajiri. So he's going to get shot.
So Deke chooses the void.
Yep.
That knocks out my guy. He moves over to here.
Okay. And I am going to we're just using a dice to keep track of our score. The actual game board is going to have a score tracker on it for all 4 players. It will actually be on the dashboard. And so... you'll actually just use that to keep track of your scores, but right now we're going to use dice. So now that I've achieved a knockout, I have 1 score. That guy has now made his move and his activation, so I'm going to put a little activation token there, and we're good.
All right, so it's back over to me. So I want to bring one of my Kaiken up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to have him face this way, and he is also going to go into stealth like Deke's guy did over here. Got a little unlucky on the ranged attack, but that's all right. That's how it goes. He'll be back soon. So.
Oh, so you say.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to activate my other Yajiri. So he's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He's still not far enough range to hit anybody, so I'm going to run him. He's going to go 1, 2, 3. Really, right now what I'm doing is positioning, because now that I see that Dave is kind of running this top area here, I'm going to position him so I can start trying to pick off anything that's running around on those rooftops. Okay, and there, and now I've revealed my strategy.
I see, yes, now I know all his plans. I'm going to move this guy over here behind the wall, also have him diagonally this way, and he also is going to drop into stealth since he's hiding from everybody, from all the opposing guys over here.
So here, just so you can understand how the elevation works, even though I'm elevated, Dave is currently behind a separate piece of elevated terrain, which means that while I can see over other models, I cannot see over that other piece of elevated terrain, and so Dave is still hidden from my view.
Yep.
Okay. So next, I am going to activate my Chunin, and so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He's going to point that way, and he is also going to go into stealth. Oh, and oh, he's only so Dave just pointed out that I totally cheated because my Chunin only has a movement of 5. He's not as fast as my Yajiri. So we're going to redo that movement and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
There you go.
Which gets me to the same spot. I was just moving very inefficiently before. So now he's going to go to stealth and then be activated.
Curses. All right, so my turn. I'm going to activate this Kunoichi here, and all right, I'm going to have her move up to here. She has a movement of 7, so she has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. She's going to stop here because I want her to be hidden, and she's going to face that way, and she is also going to drop into stealth because I don't want to get shot as she tries to get closer, probably to this guy over time here.
Okay, so all I have left is my Midoshi. It's looking like we're going to maybe get a scrum in there. I'm a little nervous about my Midoshi getting too caught up in the middle of it. So I'm actually going to try to lend support to one of my Yajiri here. So he's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4... and he only has a movement of 5 as well, so he's not going to be able to get in the water. So he is actually going to run and go right here and hide behind this little thing there. Okay.
And that's the last of Deke's guys. All I have left is my Chun here, who I've fixed since we last saw him. And so he's going to... Let's see. I think I'm going to have him... I'm going to have him run to here and face that way.
Okay.
And my Chunin is not worried about stealth. He is just going to go for it.
Yes. Okay, so that is the end of the first round. So now we're going to do upkeep really quickly. So I'm player 1, so I do all my upkeep first. I have no one in the KO box to move back. So I'm going to draw a moon card, which I'm going to get to use next round. And now it is Dave.
So I move this guy. I can move up to 2 guys from the KO to the reserves box at the end of the turn, every turn. Additionally, you have a choice. You can either draw a moon card, remove all the stun tokens from one of your guys that's on the board, or you can move a 3rd guy from the KO to the reserves if you need to. But since I only need to move 1 guy, move him down, and then I get to draw one of these cards as well. So look at that a little bit.
All right. And
that's, yeah, go ahead.
Yep, and that's the end of the first round.